guys hear me? Can you hear me? My friend Cliff, it's live. Lefty Grant, Mr. Williams. Give it a thumbs up. See what it is. Well, welcome, friends. Ooh, I'm in a small window. How did that happen? Let's try to make me be in a bigger window. Hey, there we go. How are you? Good to see you. Look, I'm even having some issues with the video, not the audio. Thanks for being here, guys. This is Cliff coming to you from the Radio City. Yes, a not too hot city, Queen City, if you will. It's actually gotten a lot better here. It was, the humidity was enough to turn that piss cotton candy hair of Donald Trump's into like that, a Jufro almost, which I think would probably upset him a lot. Has anybody given me the thumbs up? I think you've given me the hands sign. Is it the hands? Is that the universal sign that you can hear what I'm saying? Everybody knows what's going on. It's weird. I've got with my comments here. I don't know, show comments on stage. Interesting. Not seeing as many as I normally see. I don't know why the window isn't as big. And it's kind of annoying me because anything annoys me that is, I don't like change. Actually, I usually do like lots of change, but not change when I'm, trying to do a broadcast and do well. We've got a beautiful day in Ohio today. Yes, Lefty Gramps knows what he speaks of. It's actually gorgeous here in Cincinnati. Not gorgeous in meetings between Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. You may have seen the title. You hopefully saw the thumbnail, and you know what it is that I am going to be ranting about today. All right? I did this about a week ago when it came to Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump because corrupt dictators are corrupt dictators. So let's start with the fact that Bibi Netanyahu and Donald Trump are corrupt dictators. They are scumbags. They've both been found guilty in their respective countries of being corrupt, and neither of them could give a crap about the people they're supposed to be representing. And I want to start this off, and I want to be very clear. If you think I am talking about Netanyahu in the manner in which I would talk about corrupt leaders of any country, Erdogan or Orban or anybody else who acts like a dictator. So anybody who thinks, I'm going on, especially if you know me, anybody who's here for an anti-Semitic rant, you're in the wrong place. Leave. Anybody who thinks I'm going to say anything negative about Israeli people, you can also leave. They are human beings. They are people like we are. If they're responsible for everything Bibi Netanyahu does, everybody watching this is responsible for everything Donald Trump does. Okay? Let's make that clear. Anybody who doesn't have sympathy for 1,200 people who, because of Bibi Netanyahu's unbelievable incompetence in moving soldiers away from the south of Israel, allowed these terrorists to come in and live stream the rape, murder, torture of women in front of their husbands, their children, a grandmother. They live streamed her murder to Facebook. So I want to make sure we're all here on the same page. If you're here for the Jewish laser show or for the Rothschilds control the economy, I'm only on every other year do we do that. Yes, I'm one of those people, as I'm sure everybody who's a regular here knows. So you're not getting any of that crap from here. We're going to talk about these dictators, okay? Because that's the case here. I wouldn't care if Bibi Netanyahu or black or white, woman or man. I wouldn't care Jewish, Christian, Muslim. He's a corrupt, sociopathic scumbag. That's what Donald Trump is. And they need each other and they help each other. And I'm going to go through the timeline here like I did with Putin because it really is pretty obvious. Are we ready? Hopefully we're ready. Okay, let's talk about this. So first, Donald Trump runs for office on, I'm not going to bomb Iran. Oh, no more, not specifically that, but no more wars. No more stupid wars. No more foreign wars. He plays the whole isolationist card, an old sort of right-wing 1930s thing, when they didn't want us to go into World War II. Because why do we need to save Europe or people in concentration camps that would never come back to bite us in the future if Germany and Japan sort of split up the world between each other? But I digress. Stupid isolationists who, again, we shouldn't go into wars whenever we don't have to. I'm talking about isolationism as like a body reflex that you never get involved anywhere for any reason. We should stay out of almost everything we can, but international relations like NATO and groups like that, of course, have kept the peace. Okay, let's get to the corruption. So first, Donald Trump, no more wars. Then, weeks leading up to the bombing of Iran by Israel, Donald Trump says, we're not going to be involved. We're not bombing, and then a few days later, he's like, well, maybe if I could be persuaded, if there are definitive nuclear sites there, whatever, before you know it, something changes. And it was like a 180, and he's talking about he can't wait to bomb Iran. He's even singing songs about it based on the Beach Boys. Well, you know what? Russia, who, as we know, owns Donald Trump, came out and said, and we've talked about this previously, Dmitry Medvedev, who's like the little mini-me to Putin, his little marionette, came out with his very Botoxed Lauren Sanchez kind of face and said, don't you dare. Vladimir Putin said, don't you dare. Ask yourself this question, folks. This is where I try to take you from my experience in international affairs, doing work at the State Department, and my experience on presidential campaigns to the highest level, having written ads for Biden in 2020, what I've seen behind the scenes, you need to ask yourself, do people change for no reason? Okay. There are a few good people out there in the world. There really are that do. Most people, it's their self-interest, and they change due to their self-interest. Okay. And on a global scale, if you've gotten to this level of power, you're more corrupt and cynical than almost anybody else. So why does Donald Trump suddenly change? The guy that's making gazillions, remember, he was against crypto too. And now the meme coins, the crypto he's got exchange, he may have made $1 billion off of it already, according to reports. So he changed on that. There was a reason. He's greedy, right? We know there's very few things that Donald Trump cares about. He wants to stay out of prison, and he wants to use the United States of America as his piggy bank to make money off of our backs, everybody else's backs, use it as leverage. I'll threaten to bomb you unless you give me money. Hey, we'll have peace with you. We know there was a blockade during his first term at one point of Qatar because Jared Kushner needed some relief from the building appropriately named 666 Fifth Avenue was the address. Could there ever be a more perfect one? And Kushner needed some relief from the debt that he owed because he's a moron like his daddy-in-law and invested way too much money in something, and he didn't know what he was doing. We've already, and generals at the time were shocked and outraged and said things that this isn't consistent with U.S. foreign policy. So we've done this already. This isn't our first rodeo. Well, with Iran, why? Why do a 180 and bomb Iran? Why piss off Vladimir Putin? Okay, the 5th floor Marriott Hotel special that he likes to give people, the blue as the sky on a nice day tea he likes to feed people. Why would you want to piss that guy off when you know they've got stuff on you going all the way back to when you went to the Soviet Union in the 1980s and came back and magically wrote pieces for the New York Times and the Boston Globe on how Reagan was wrong and we really shouldn't be standing up to the Soviet Union. We should be friends. By the way, I'm not saying Reagan was right about everything he did back then, but the Soviet Union were bad people that we shouldn't have just bowed down to. But they knew, and files have come out. They've been following Trump forever in books. Craig Unger, who we have to get on this show one of these days, have written all about the fact we've had Greg Olear on. Dude's been an asset for 40, 50 years now, allegedly. So what happens there? He's going to piss off his maker in Putin. He's going to piss off his base in, the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Steve Bannons and people like that blew their spadoinkles at the fact that he was willing to bomb when he said he was a peace president and who don't want to spend any money anywhere on anybody but themselves. So again, what happened? Well, Bibi happened. Bibi also has an interest like Trump, staying out of prison. So he wants to stay in power. He almost was ousted last time. They came close. Bibi has massive weaknesses. As I said, he didn't cover the southern border. You know why? Because he was busy sending those troops up to protect illegal settlements in the West Bank. That was more important to him than covering their southern flank and ensuring that no one could get in and massacre 1,200 people on their 9/11, or what became their 9/11. So he's incompetent. He's a right-wing lunatic. He's everything Trump is. He's also corrupt. So what could be going on here? Well, we know, the things that are in public, the meme coins and all that. Payments from Bibi, possible, right? A pact to secretly undermine and use, remember, there was, way back when, an Israeli spying firm involved in the whole Cambridge Analytica thing, right? Is Bibi going to use his governmental, Mossad's pretty good at what they do. Are they going to use what they can to make sure to that Trump does not lose the midterms here, to protect Trump, to make sure that Democrats get no power? Are they going to make sure that Trump can do what he needs to do to get rid of a constitutional amendment or ignore one and run for another term? Are they just going to keep him there for now when the guy's got an approval rating of like lead piled on top of horse manure, piled on top of JD Vance trying to order donuts? Whatever it is, if anybody who believes there isn't a corrupt deal here, you're not paying attention and you're not connecting the dots. Trump doesn't do stuff for nothing. Bibi Netanyahu doesn't do stuff for nothing. They both need help. They both need protection. Bibi Netanyahu's numbers suck in Israel. Trump's suck here because both of our populations have realized that we've got ridiculous, clownish, corrupt, cruel idiots leading us. So what do you have? Well, Trump just came out and what did he have to say? Let's see. Let's see if we can get it in here. You know, guys, I am certainly not somebody that you would call massively talented at the share function here, but let's try and do it. Okay, let's do it. We're moving. Share screen. Cool. Yeah, right. I want to do that. Ooh, there we go. Did that work? It worked. Let Bibi go. I mean, seriously, let my people go. Like he's even playing on an old Jewish line. It's Moses, I guess. Can Bibi wander in the desert for 40 years first? I would do that. If they throw him out into the desert for 40 years and he can wander around aimlessly in like 112-degree weather, and basically sand as far as the eye can see. If he can make it through that, I'd let him back in. I think that's a fair deal. Do you guys think that's a fair deal? I don't know. Tell me in the comments. I think it's a fair deal. But why is Trump speaking out on a domestic prosecution going on in Israel? Again, another bullet point for you. You got to connect all of these dots. Why? What reason does Donald Trump have to do that? Why is Bibi Netanyahu there? Are they talking about he's going to come here to the White House? He endorsed Donald Trump in the past. He supported him in the past. He made quite clear he endorsed him over Biden. I don't remember if there's an official one or just everything but. But Trump being in power, he knows. So what will Trump do to keep him in power? Well, guess what? There's more spying powers that are in this big, beautiful bill. It gives the government more right to spy. They already collect so much information. What could Trump do to help keep Bibi in power? A lot. Could they also like sort of have a joint pact of like when they'll bomb Iran and or when they'll bomb certain other countries they choose not to like, and at the same time maybe leading up to elections, perhaps one of them bombs, the other one helps them out. I mean, it could be any number of things here, but when you know they both are corrupt financially, when you know they both don't want to go to prison, and for both of those things to occur, the third part, they both need to remain the leaders of their states. It's quite obvious. It's quite obvious, again, that there's no other reason that anybody can give me why Donald Trump did a 180 on bombing Iran. There's no other reason why Donald Trump, in the time since then, has spoken about bombing potentially again and having his base, literally want to freaking fillet him for it. There's no reason that you can give me also for the fact that he's now speaking out on a domestic prosecution going on in Israel that has nothing to do with what's going on here. I bet you're going to see Bibi speak out soon. And I would have to look at the past record on Donald Trump. But any more corruption that comes up on Trump, which is going to, he accepts Qatar jets for $500 million, apparently costs $1 million per pardon. Stuff will come out and Bibi will be there to say it's the corrupt press, the liberals going after Donald Trump. Who knows who the boogeyman will be? Maybe they'll both just blame Muslims here and in Israel. Doesn't matter. Point is that there's a corrupt deal between them. It's quite obvious. You both don't change your behavior and your beliefs magically, particularly Donald Trump. And that's what we need to get to the bottom of, because there's a deal. It's what the parameters of that deal are. Are there financials involved? Is it just mutually protecting each other and scapegoating and demagoguing? Is it committing acts of war and treason in attacking other countries that don't deserve it to keep each other in office? It could be any and all. But what I know is when you look at all of these points, when you see them all, the truth is obvious. Donald Trump is a coward. You know that. He's Bone Spur McGee. He hides in a bunker when there's people protesting outside the White House. He won't go to a World War I memorial because it's raining and that pile of doo-doo on his head that he calls hair, he doesn't want it to get messed up. He's scared of rain, folks. He's scared of rain. So you think he would stand up to Putin or Medvedev unless he had a really good reason? Something that was really going to make him wealthier than ever? Something that was going to ensure he never went to prison? Think about it. It's quite obvious, though. And I bet more and more will come out because this was just 2 days ago, that article I showed you. So I'm kind of interested I'm interested to see how Bibi returns the favor. There will be, I'm sure, a White House meeting, and Bibi will come and heap praise upon Trump and talk about how he was the real strong force in Iran. And we'll see what else, who he attacks, who he tries to undermine, as Trump does for him. But in the end, it's too, like with Putin, and we've talked about in the past, and it could be Orban or Erdogan or Modi or, Xi, pick your poison of evil dictators, because sadly they're in right now a lot of key countries around the world. The way Trump had a Chinese bank account, we didn't find out about until he was out of office, but he just hates himself some China, right? And has all his products made there, like his Make America Great Again hats. Irony not being something he understands. You do need a 3-digit IQ for that. So again, pay attention to what goes on there. And I will say again, this is not Jews. This is not the Israeli people. It's not the American people. All right? We all hate these two sons of bitches. It's these two guys. It's these two dictators. Pay attention to what they're up to. And that has been a Cliff's Note. And as Lefty Gramps just said, don't forget the sharks, birds, and windmills. Though, Lefty Gramps, you're forgetting it has to be sharks and batteries. Either or he's cool with. But you're right. Yes, he is scared of them. I mean, that obsession with talking about the sharks and batteries thing was a perfect example of what I'm talking about. And so thank you, Lefty Gramps, for throwing that out there. It was a perfect example, right? He obsessed over that and kept talking about it because he's scared of it. Like, this freaky, weird loser is scared that somehow, because he thinks that that for there to be clean energy cars and boats, there's a big freaking battery attached to it, because he's an idiot. So the big freaking battery is going to fall off into the water, but he's going to be surrounded by sharks. What do you do? Well, he would choose electrocution every time, he said, because sharks really scare him. And apparently, because it scared him so much, he watched Shark Week, and this is according to her testimony, with Stormy Daniels. I don't know if the fear is what, let's not even go there, because ew, but he's scared of sharks. He is scared of birds. Like, right, remember the time with that eagle where he freaked out that was on his desk? They cause they kill windmills, or the windmills kill them, or they cause cancer. I don't know. He said a bunch of things about birds before. Probably saw that Alfred Hitchcock movie when he was young, and he just can't get past it. He's a scared little boy who never got beyond the emotional and intellectual developmental level, I'd say a 7-year-old. And that's not even a pejorative. I think, quite honestly, he's emotionally, if we're being objective, like in the range of about 7 to about 10, and intellectually a moron. So there you go. MJ, Miami is corrupt. We need to bring out, oops, sorry, I'm combining two messages. And the next mayor will be a rebuke too. Yeah, sadly. I need I know that's what the Democratic Party needs, a broader plan to speak to working communities, white working communities, but particularly Latino, Asian, Black, because we have started to just think that those on the left of our party who are white speak for everybody who is Black and working class and Latino working class, and we shockingly find out that's not the truth. No, they don't speak for other people. People tend to speak for themselves, and we've conflated groups that aren't the same. And the end result has been, a lot of this has been disinformation, because we never closed that and allowed that to be interpreted, and lying to people and getting people to do things that harm themselves and maybe end up killing them. Right? We convinced people to that's acceptable. Disinformation is equal information. As the great journalist who I've had on this show, Brian Karem, who went to jail 4 times to protect sources, and 3 times sued Donald Trump and won, and 1 time asked Donald Trump if Trump would respect the results of the 2020 election right before, and Trump said wouldn't answer him, and that made into Jack Smith's filing against Donald Trump, which would have gone forward if Trump hadn't won. Back to what we said about Trump and Bibi. But as Brian Karem's often said, disinformation is actually the enemy of the First Amendment. It undermines free speech. How can it be free speech? Which I think is brilliantly put. Tina Bradford thinks 7 is generous for Trump. All right. Comments. Do your thing. I am far from knowing all. I think a lot of you people are way smarter than I am. So tell me what you think. Is he 4? Is he 6? Is he, give me your view of the whole thing. So that is the first topic I wanted to talk about. There are others, and where are we? 223. I'd love to see what you guys are up to. Can't post comments to some destinations. What are you talking about? Why is this thing such a pain in the arse today? I'm sorry, guys. I'm not getting the view. Like, I have to really mess around with it to see everybody's comments. Trump has stopped giving Ukraine weapons. Cynthia Rice, I missed that during my rant. Yeah, illegally, of course. We put the money aside. I thought it had started up again because we caught him, but perhaps not. Drumpf Krasnov from Jim Williams, yes, established in 1987. Yep, as you said, Jim. It's. I mean, look, at this point again, Craig Ollier, Craig Unger, and numerous people have shown it, and it's the same thing we've talked about as we talked about him and Bibi. It's the same thing when we talked about him and Putin, whether they were on the outs and fighting, and Putin was pissed at his help, which was quite clear that there's a divorce that's happened, and they could get back together, but who knows? Because Putin wouldn't have said stuff to undermine Trump in the way that he did if he weren't really pissed about what happened with Iran and the fact that he's been humiliated with Ukraine with the drones that made it 2,800 miles away to hit them in Russia. Zelensky spent 47,000 on it in one of the most brilliant operations ever, and we didn't do our job because Trump's job is to find out about that stuff and warn him, and also to frankly hand Ukraine over, to threaten Ukraine to the point where they just like, please, Mr. Putin, you can have our whole country. And Trump's failed at that. Luckily for us, Trump fails at everything. So people still get hurt along the way, but not as many. And he failed there too. So Putin's pissed. But again, you look at the sort of the data points and you come to a conclusion, right? And that's what I was doing with Bibi. And that's what you can do with Trump in 1987. I mean, he married his first wife, Ivanka. I always get mixed up. Ivanka. He would have married either of them or both of them. And the first wife was Ivana, right? Ivanka's the kid. Little Ivana is what that means. Again, who can take the time to figure these things out? But his first wife, Ivana, as you may know, was from Czechoslovakia. You also may know that was part of the Iron Curtain that was controlled by Russia. It was a communist government, and they had spies. So you think an American businessman marrying a Czechoslovakian, they wouldn't, especially one who made themselves as prominent as Trump with his big mouth and daddy's money. Do you think they wouldn't have, at the very least, been spying on him, tracking him, seeing what he was doing? Then when they found out that literally in spycraft, he had every single weakness you could ever hope for: ego, lust for women, the greediest bastard around, right? I think it was the acronym. It's like MICE, I think it is. I can't remember what each letter stands for, but basically Trump had all of them. So Trump goes over to the Soviet Union and magically comes back and writes articles attacking the US government for how it's behaving towards the Soviet Union and portrays them as the victim. And again, listen, I think Reagan economically changed things so that we ended up where we are right now. I think Reagan is the villain of our economic story, for changing us from FDR's America to what we've been the last 40 years. So I'm not sitting here saying, yay, Reagan is just so swell. But the point is that Russia, the Soviet Union, was not a victim. Stalin was a mass murderer. Okay? Lenin killed lots of people. Khrushchev. Keep going on and on with various leaders. Hell, Andropov, and nobody knew where the hell he was in the early 80s for like a year and a half. He just disappeared. And there was like, we didn't know if they had a leader or not. Those guys were all vicious. So just, one person being bad doesn't mean the other person's good. Kind of like Iran, even though we do not want to go to war for numerous reasons, Iran is run by Handmaid's Tale, evil, like vicious religious nuts that have murdered numerous women now for not wearing a burqa properly, speaking out for labor rights and whatever. Just because Bibi Netanyahu is horrible doesn't make Iran good. Everyone in the equation can be horrible. And so as far as I'm concerned, and I'm still not going to, even as much as I can't stand Ronald Reagan, I'm not going to put him on the same level as he didn't march people out like Stalin to the Katyn forest and massacre them. He ignored AIDS, and a lot of people died because of it. He was horrible. So don't get me wrong, but there still is nuance in this world. There's levels of horrible. So yeah. And I see Jim Williams saying, yup, Cliff, but that was 2 minutes ago, and I've been saying so much stuff here that I don't even know if what he's saying yup to. But I like that you're saying yup. Yup is a good thing. What else you guys got? Because I have other stuff we can talk about. I have another rant I can do if you're in the mood for it. Okay, here, let's try this one. Lisa effing Murkowski. What the hell is wrong with you? And why do you not leave the Senate and go hide in a cabin somewhere in Juneau, Alaska, or wherever the hell you actually specifically come from? Go to, is it Wasilla? Is that the place that Sarah Palin's from? Go hang out with her, because you're as bad as her. And essentially what I want everybody here to know, because I'm tired of hearing it, and my God, I held on to this for a while too. I tried. We all try. It's like Aaron Sorkin disease, that there are some reasonable Republicans. There are no reasonable Republicans. They don't exist. They are an extinct species, because it comes right down to it. They will do the wrong damn thing every time. It's amazing how every time when they vote for one of the worst freaking shittiest bills in the world, it'll end up being like a 50-50 tie, and they break the tie, or 51-49, or in the Supreme Court 5-4, which now they stuffed it enough that they often get 6-3, but not on all cases. But I mean, whereas the Roe versus Wade that gave us abortion rights was a 7-1 decision. I think one of the justices recused themselves. Brown versus Board 9-0. Warren, the Chief Justice at the time, held out longer. He wanted to make a decision sooner, but he wouldn't have had everybody aboard, and thought it actually was important that we have everybody aboard, because for such a monumental change, you needed it to be unanimous. That's what people that respected the court, and just like people that respect Congress as playing an actual role, not just being Trump's little whores. That's the kind of thing that mattered back then. Joe Walsh just wrote, a friend of mine, of course, and someone, one of the few people who actually really has changed and has shown me that it is possible for people to change. And he lost his radio show and other stuff by doing it. So he went against his financial interests. But he wrote a piece about Tom Tillis, and how Tom Tillis Tom Tillis basically said, this is an utter crap bill. It's going to destroy my state by taking away Medicaid from so many people. It's going to kill people. As I've said the other day when I was on with Matt Robeson, we're going to use the language of honesty here. We're not going to euphemism it like the New York Times. They're choosing ahead of time. They're murdering people. That's what they're doing. They're saying, Elon Musk needs to extend his 125-foot yacht by 50 more feet. So we need to give him the money to do that. Let's kick a couple thousand people off of Medicaid. Let's take food away from starving kids in school and let them die. That's their response to these things going on. Well, Tom Tillis stood up and said, okay, I'm not going to vote for that. And then Trump said, well, then we're going to primary you. And then Tom Tillis said, well, okay, then I'm not going to run for re-election. Goodbye. Now, on the surface, that sounds great. Wonderful. There's an open seat in North Carolina. That's going to be tougher for the Republicans. Tom Tillis, you're like, well, he stood up for what he believed in. But why is it that these guys can only stand up for what they fucking believe in when they have no more political risk? Why can't they take a political risk? I hate giving credit where credit is due, but the only person I can think of right now that did that is Liz Cheney, who I hated with a passion of 1,000 suns for Iraq and everything else. And I'll still never forgive her for Iraq, but I will give credit where credit's due. She voted for impeachment. She stood up, and then she ran for re-election. She didn't just say, I'm walking away. So she did it, took a risk to her political career, and it ended. But these people, I think of Jeff Flake, not doing anything till he was gone. Tom Tillis now, and Bob Corcoran. It's amazing all these people who, once they're gone, are willing to speak out against Trump. But the lack of courage, I've run out of ways. I need to get a book of synonyms for coward, spineless, weak, wobbly, gelatin-like. It's pathetic. So that's Tom Tillis. He's like, oh, well, there's no more risk to my power. Well, Lisa Murkowski, who's pretending to be a decent person all the time, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like in the end, hey, let's see what old Lisa has to say, because I may have something else for you here. Let's see. Can I share the screen? Can I share the screen? Well, let's get rid of this first. I don't want to add that to the stage, you jerks. Stop the screen. Yeah, it worked. What do you know? Okay, now we're going to share this. All right, folks. Let's see what we got here from and it's not going to the right place. Hold on one second. It'll be easy. We'll move this sucker around. And you know I should never say it will be easy, because right away I'm jinxing myself. But let's see if we put it here, if it works properly. Okay, let's try this crap again. Ready, aim, maybe fire. I think this is it. What do you know? Is there volume? I don't hear anything. Hello, put the volume on. Okay, there's mute screen audio, unmute screen audio. Are you guys hearing this or no? Because I'm not. Yeah, no volume. What the bloody hell? Let's check our settings here. Guys, I have been embracing this. I have been trying all these things, all the things, so that I can share stuff with you. God damn it, man. It's annoying. Nah, we don't want that. We'll figure it out, or we won't, in which case I can just tell you very easily what the hell is going on here. But I don't understand. Clearly, guys, there's stuff for me to figure out in the future. But let me give you something else. How about that? If I can't give you that, because there is something else I'm pretty sure I can give you that I think will tell the story. So we're going to remove this. And we're going to find exactly what it is that I want to show you. This part, when we put the rant out there, I promise you will be edited out. This is what I get for doing this live. All right, like, everybody ready? Take a look at that. That's the look on her face when the press came up to her and started asking questions. Is that the face of somebody who's confident in the vote they just took? Is that somebody who knows the indecency that she just performed in this vote? Lisa Murkowski, who again was like, oh, I mean, I think she, if I remember correctly, voted against Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, she wanted to, play both sides. She even was musing a week ago about becoming a Democrat. Go away. You're a horrible person. You're MAGA. I don't care what you call yourself. And what she said in that video was, oh, well, I had to do what was right for Alaska, this for Alaska. And what she did was she made sure that Medicaid payments actually went up in Alaska. And she made sure that they didn't have any of these cuts, but the rest of us have them. Is she a U.S. senator? I know she's from Alaska, but I believe U.S. senator is that name. So she chose to condemn kids to starvation. She chose to condemn people without health care to death. She chose to do all of that to protect her state so she can get reelected. You're just as bad as the rest of them. You suck. And the fact that I ever gave Lisa Murkowski any credit, the fact that I ever said, oh, well, she seems like she's one of the few decent ones, maybe she'll become an independent or whatever. This vote is so horrific that Alaska, what? Were there 14 people and a few moose there? I mean, sorry, if you're from Alaska, it's a beautiful state. But you get my point. She leaves the rest of this country out. And when she's like, well, I had to protect my state. You didn't have to do anything. You were the fucking 50th vote, you moron. They already had Rand Paul voting against it. They already had Tom Tillis. They even had Frowny McFace Susan Collins voting against it. So I didn't major in math like I'm sure you did, Lisa. The kind of math that was like, hey, my dad, Frank Murkowski, is appointing me to be a U.S. senator. I'm a Nepo baby. So now I can run for re-election and have the name Murkowski in Alaska, in a state that has 14 people and a bunch of moose forever. Well, guess what? It's 49 votes without you. You could have done a hell of a lot more. Hell, you could have banded together with a few of the other ones and said you would vote for it if they changed A, B, C, and D. You could have held out and they wouldn't have had the 50 votes. Instead, you screwed us all. You traded us all in so that for your state. And if you think, I think for a minute you did that because you care about the people of your state. Well, I care about Alaskans, just not the rest of America. No, you don't care about anybody. You care about re-election. You care about your importance. You care about your first class flights and your nice little gigs you get to go on that are paid for with our taxpayer money. That's what you care about, because if you care about people, there's no way you would vote for this. Telling you should be ashamed, I don't tell people they should be ashamed. They have to have shame. Honestly. You should, and I want to be clear to everybody, this isn't a threat. I don't believe in physical harm, so this is what we would call a metaphor. You should go to hell is where you should go. I honestly, anything else I would say might get me in serious trouble here. You horrible, horrid, evil, stupid person, you. You suck. You have condemned people to death. Your vote, Mrs. Decency, the one that has you looking like that with that on your face. How when you make Susan Collins look good, you've done something wrong. These days, when you make John Fetterman look good, you've also done something wrong. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. People of Alaska, do not send this person back. I am hoping, this bill is underwater. Like, I think in 2026, she's up for re-election. Now is the time to start. Democratic Party, don't pull this crap where you start 6 months ahead of time. Get somebody now. Get somebody to stand up and talk about how many people that she has destroyed with this vote around the country, how she's Trump's. Yeah, you can't talk about people she destroyed in Alaska, but maybe people in Alaska actually have relatives and care about people around the country who are going to die now. Maybe people in Alaska care about her voting for her supporting her president right now, whose approval ratings in the crap, or a guy that people see accepting $500 million plane bribes, and sending around masked fascists to rip people out of their fourth grade classrooms. Maybe people care about that. But start the damn campaign now. She's not decent. She is not honorable. She's not worthy of the U.S. Senate. Taking this vote is just about the most despicable thing you could ever do. So I'll say it one more time. You suck, Lisa Murkowski. Don't try to fool anybody again that you have any decency. You're MAGA. You've always been MAGA. Maybe you felt the need to pretend you were some old line Republican, but nobody but a fascist could vote for that piece of crap. And you did it. So I don't want to hear anymore. She was just reelected. Collins up in 26. Yeah, of course, she was just reelected. That's why she did it, and that's why the trade-off. Collins didn't have to do it, so Collins could try to trick people again in 2026. Well, then I guess we should just go after Lisa Murkowski because she's awful, and maybe if enough hard women say, "Oh, I'm scared of Donald Trump." Well, good. Maybe we should say enough things to her. I don't want to make her scared for her physical safety. Again, I don't believe in that. That's fascism. But I'd love to make her uncomfortable. Maybe that's really hard in Alaska, considering there isn't what you would call public transportation besides like small planes. But she should be scared when she walks into a bar or a restaurant that people are going to go up in her face, again, nothing physical, and tell her she's an awful, horrible human being and she's responsible for people being dead from lack of health care. That's what she should have to deal with every time she ever goes to a movie, every time she ever goes out to a restaurant, a bar, whatever the hell, a parade. We could do that. She should not feel comfortable in her life. She should understand that she is hated. And with Susan Collins, we need to start now because of, again, Brett Kavanaugh and so many other things that she did in the end. Like, oh, great. She got a free pass on this one because they just needed 50 votes. So they gave her a free pass. That's probably what Murkowski was doing. How pathetic. You helped out your friend Susan Collins, the other fake moderate, so you could let people die needlessly in this country and billionaires could get tax cuts. Yes, MJ. Collins has been doing the same shit for a decade. Yeah, that is what Collins does. Both of these do them. I thought Murkowski was more decent than Collins. Collins, that's been an obvious play by her. She's had the most horrible voting record, and then right before election, she would always find ways to pretend she was moderate and talk about how she was pro-choice, even though she put every anti-choice justice on there so that it doesn't really matter, at least not nationwide. But Murkowski, I'll tell you, I honestly, this is probably some of the reason I'm so angry. In a few cases in the past, even not around election time, had honestly shown like a modicum of decency. Clearly, MAGA has taken care of that. Screw her. I have a friend who lives in Alaska. They're all MAGA nuts up there. Well, interesting point there, Cynthia. And don't mean to argue. There are many MAGA nuts up there. I don't disagree with you. But Alaska is one of the few states, actually, that trended in our direction from 20 to 24. In other words, Kamala did better there than Biden did. Alaska is one of the few states that you know how Republicans hide behind the branding of libertarian. Like if they're too embarrassed to admit that they're Republicans, like I'm a libertarian. It's a very white guy thing to do, especially, but a lot of Republicans do that. And most of those states, when it comes down to it, like Wyoming, whatever, they're not really. They pretend to be libertarian, but they embrace Donald Trump. But I'll say this, one state where he has gone down and the polling showed it was because of some of his more authoritarian moves was Alaska. Alaska actually really does have a lot of libertarians. So there's definitely, I'm sure, a hardcore MAGA element there, of course, in the rural areas and whatever that love him. But Alaska, well, I think last time I'd have to look was actually, it may have fallen into single digits. This is a state Republicans used to routinely win by 25 points. And I think it may have been 9 or something like that. I'll have to look it up at some point, but it's getting closer. So there is a bunch of MAGA nuts, but there's a reason when Lisa Murkowski had a MAGA nut run against her, you may remember this, and then ran as an independent. This is 2 election cycles ago, and the Democrats sort of maybe nominally put somebody up, I'm trying to remember, but didn't really knew that Murkowski was the best they're going to do, kind of supported Murkowski. They just didn't say it, and she won because there's that many independents up there, and there are enough Democrats too. And so there's enough people moving away from MAGA that Alaska should actually be a state we should pay attention to. I think it's one that we can bring into the fold. So I get your point, but there's a hardcore 30, 35%, whatever there is, of MAGA lunatics in most states. Not every state. I don't think California, New York, or Massachusetts are a few places, although they've got a hardcore 25% there. But you're always going to have that. But I mean, I think, it's going to depend on a lot of things because Murkowski's not up for re-election for a while. The ranked choice thing, yeah, that doomed Sarah Palin. Thank you, Lefty Gramps. I didn't even think about that. That could make it a lot harder for Murkowski. But the point is that branding, debranding, what we always talk about, which maybe leads me into something that I talked about on Matt Robeson's show yesterday, which is the fact that we need independent media. We need people to be exposing Lisa Murkowski and not write it as a process story. Lisa Murkowski met with Donald Trump and then she met with blah, 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 and she made this decision and it was a fraught decision and it was so difficult, as opposed to she just chose to let kids die, which is the way I'd report it. Well, guess what? I'm on Substack, as you all know, blueamp.co. I hope you will come and subscribe. It's free. But if you want to, we have paid subscriptions for $69 for a year. And what you will be doing is, I might as well announce on my show. I've announced it on various other people's shows. I chose because I am so sick of hearing people say, and I've said it, so I'm sick of myself, I guess. We need billionaires to fund our infrastructure. We need, institutions to fund infrastructure for independent media. And I don't even need to say lefty or liberal, because if you're independent and you're telling the truth, you can only be on that side these days. There is no more. I mean, I guess you could be a never Trump or maybe. There's no more truth on the right, or at least the right that controls the Republican Party. They can't tell the truth because they're psychologically damaged for one reason. For another, all of their policies are so unpopular they can't do it. So I decided that I was going to, out of my pocket, put a 5-figure sum, and I'm not a billionaire, and I'm not whatever. I'm not claiming that that I am poor. I'm just saying it's not a small sum, and it's not something that doesn't hurt a little bit. But you know what? Like, you have to show people stuff by standing up and showing that you'll do the right thing, and maybe you'll motivate them to do the right thing. So I stood up, I put this money into a fund, and we are going to give out micro grants. They're smaller grants, but I've, for people that need to upgrade their website so it's more, their Substack, so it's more optimized, and they'll get more subscribers. Who need more exposure, we're going to give them exposure on TV shows. On my Substack show, and on try to get them booked on shows where I have connections in radio and YouTube, and yeah, maybe even some cable, even though I pretty much hate cable. But in our newsletter right now is at a point where we are averaging somewhere between 460,000 and 470,000 opens per day. I mean, it's per newsletter. We send out one a day most days, which I never expected, frankly, and I'm sort of awed by, and it's amazing. And I thought, I have a responsibility to give something back and to do something here, because I want my kids growing up in a democracy. I want all of you all to live in a democracy. I want to live in a democracy. And I don't want to look back if we don't in a couple of years and be like, yeah, I could have done more. So I took a sum of money that I thought, I made sure, I'm like, could give 1,000, 2,000. No, it had to be 5 figures at least to make a statement. It would have been 6 figures if I could afford that. And we're going to set up now, if you go to blueamp.co, what you will do is, by doing that, if you decide to become a paid subscriber, we're trying to figure out the exact thing. It's 15 or 20% we will take of your paid subscription, and that will go to supporting other creators. But we're going to add a donate button too. And that will let people, if they just want to come by and give $1, $3, whatever it is, they could do that. And that will end up supporting. That will be an entire creator fund. And the beauty of all this is, folks, we are purposely going to put it into a super PAC. And the reason we're going to do that is so you can all look at the FEC numbers and nobody can say, you're grifting, because it's going to all be right there. If I'm grifting, you'll know. So we are purposely going to put it into a transparent entity, and I will share that with everybody and anybody. Actually, I'm going to share it even when you don't ask. I'm going to purposely put it out there, and people will see we are giving money, small grants, because we need a whole ecosystem. And the reason why, Cliff's Edge, you have a Venmo set up. At least it'll be almost fee-free. I do have a personal Venmo. I can get a Cliff's Edge Venmo set up. Hold on a second. I mean, again, I'll send you a statement. If you want to send it to my personal Venmo, I will. Actually, I use it. I separate it out. I use this for personal and business, but I can take this and we can put it in the super PAC from here, and therefore it will be something there where everybody will see where it goes. So hold on. I'll tell you how to find me on there. It's up to you again, but you're right. We should get a Blue Amp Action one. The one right now is, I'll put it up here. It is at Cliff. I don't know if capitals matter here. So it's at Cliff Schechter. Sorry, I don't use it that often. But Jim, if you can share stuff, you can also, by becoming you can also go join our Patreon, for example. That would be another way to help put money into the till, and some of that money is going to inevitably be used for this. But the best way is probably to, if you either become a paid subscriber at Substack, is the best way to do it. Or right here through YouTube, you can give me, like right now, if you want to give a super chat, if you have that ability, or or a super sticker. I don't even need to do my little thing anymore, my Jerry Maguire thing, because I'm just going to say, do you guys want an independent media? Again, I've walked the walk now. I've talked the talk for too long. And I will tell you this, I'm going to be making sure that other big creators out there, I've already had 1 or 2 make offers. I announced it on Hal Sparks' show, and he's putting money in, and he's going to hold a fundraiser on it. So the good people, the honest people here are going to do that. The ones out there that talk a big game about lefty media and independent media, but then, just goose their own numbers, I'm not going to call them out yet. I'm going to give them a chance to do the right thing, but this fund is going to be sitting right there. They can give to it. I also have a couple donors, going to go to them. Not sure if that'll work or not, but it helps when you've got skin in the game, and I can show them I've already put a bunch of money in there. And then I'm also going to ask you guys, as I did, you can, once we get the donate button up there, you'll be able to go and make small donations. But right now, the best thing you can do, like what Lefty Gramps just did here, thank you, $5 here, $1.99, $10, all that goes into this. It goes into the fund that heads in that direction. Some of it supports me too, but I hope that you'll want me to keep doing this. And look, I just heard a cha-ching. So somebody gave money via Venmo. Thank you. Can even see who it is. Hopefully, maybe there'll be a name attached to it so I can thank them. Michelle Jacobson, thank you very much. I don't know if there's another one. That's the one so far. And then, yep, that's MJ, I guess. It's me. Thank you. You deserve to also get put up here on the screen. And anyone else, again, what I can tell you is the system will be more perfect soon. There will be a donor button, and those you will see 100% of that will go into this fund. But for right now, you can either go with the Venmo, you can give me a super chat or a super sticker here, or you can, the biggest thing is, so, I mean, I've been talking up Substack for a while, and I said this on Matt Robison's show yesterday and on Tony Michaels, and I've said it on Hal Sparks's and a few other places. And the reason why I'm going to write posts on the bigger places, Twitter and Blue Sky also, I've got a whole plan for marketing it over the next few weeks. But the reason why is because of the fact that we've never been provided with that infrastructure by our institutions or billionaires. And Substack is the first place that provides you with that infrastructure. In other words, it provides you with a place like what Twitter used to be. We've got some of the biggest names in politics, a lot of people on the, every lefty politician you can think of, big media personalities who've been pushed out. Jim Acosta is there. Katie Fang is there. Don Lemon is there. Go on and on. You've got your Heather Cox Richardsons and Joyce Vance. And well, what it does is, if you're trying to start off right away, I can tell you, because I'm in the email fundraising business too, to store at a place like Action Kits, also these places. I mean, depending on how many emails you have, and again, that's the other thing, Substack is democratized. YouTube here, I could try to contact them. They won't answer me. The algorithm can change randomly, and my numbers will go down, not because I changed anything. I mean, anything you can imagine. Imagine an autocratic government like Donald Trump's and what they can do randomly because they feel like it. And that's these guys. Whereas imagine a democratic government where there's transparency, where you can reach out to the top people and you will actually hear back, where you get to keep your data. All emails of people who join on Substack, I can be in touch with my people. And if Substack ever goes to hell, we can go somewhere else. That's democracy is what that is. And so the fact that it lets you keep your data and democratizes it that way, but so they're saying now the pressure's on them, because essentially they have to do a good job, because if they don't, we can leave. You have to understand the different sort of setup that is. Then YouTube doesn't care about me. They've got Mr. Beast and everybody else with 30 million or 10 million or whatever. I'm a decimal point. They don't care about me, and they don't care about you. Substack, it's different. I have a disproportionately larger account, and so yes, it's easier for me there. But point being that everybody gets to own their data, but also the fact of the matter is that it provides you this infrastructure for free. A great website to build one up costs thousands of dollars. Well, guess what? Like, YouTube is such crap what you can do with it compared to Substack, where you can make it look like this beautiful website with what they provide you. Okay. They store your emails, as I said. I mean, if you have 10,000 subscribers or 20 or whatever, and you have all those emails, like cost you $1,000, $2,000 a month, whatever, on some of these places, they store them for free. It's the infrastructure we've never had for people who are, so what ends up happening, right? A lot of wealthier people that don't necessarily understand a lot of what this country is going through end up being the people that become lefty voices because they can afford to fail. They can invest in a website. They can invest in an email list. They can do all that stuff. You don't have to do that on Substack. They pay for all of that. All you have to do is create stuff. And so that's why I chose it. Now, you don't have to to apply to this fund, for which I will give you a link and hope that you guys will apply. I can't promise everybody will be accepted. I definitely need to take Lisa Murkowski off the screen. But we've already accepted 3 folks. We're going to be accepting more. As I said, their microgrants will be $500 to $1,000. But everybody who gets one, we will come back to you again. You keep doing the work, we will come back to you. And if the donors kick in and people kick in small amounts of money, like this, then who knows how big it could get. And maybe we'll be giving $5,000 grants. In my perfect world, we'll be giving 50,000 or 100,000. But you start small. You hope people get into it and understand the importance of this. And again, we just have to all ask ourselves. I asked myself, what do I want with all of this? What do I want to think about? What do I want to look at in the future and feel like I did? And I had to do this. And I had to put this money in, or I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I looked back and was like, you know what? Look at what happened to our country. So hold on, let me get the link for you guys. And it's at the bottom. So if you go to my Substack, it's at the bottom right hand. We're going to get it placed more prominently. Again, we also don't just have a ton of money sitting around. So we're doing a lot of the work ourselves, and a lot of this stuff is happening on the fly, which I'm sure you guys understand. But let me try. There it is. We're calling it the Soundcheck Fund, which you'll probably get the deal, right? Blue Amp, Soundcheck. I love rock and roll. It fits. Here, if you'd like to apply to the Soundcheck Fund, right there for you. Please do. The more creators we can support, the better. And even if it's just with smaller grants, what if that extra like $750 means that somebody can hire somebody, pay them fairly, and have their site, just optimized so they bring in another 50, 100 paid subscribers? That makes a difference, right? That means that person can stay here. Guys, if I told you stories about a few friends of mine who are around, thank you, Sheldon Hughes. I appreciate it. That's really kind of you. When I think about, I've got 2 or 3 friends out there that work for corporate entities, and they were some of the most talented people I've ever been around. I think of one of them I worked with when we worked against Mitch McConnell. Now, granted, we were working for a terrible candidate. This is 20 years ago, and we couldn't have won. He actually introduced me to my wife, so I will always be thankful for that. But, he was so good. And he went and worked at, and don't be judgmental because you guys all know the post-apocalyptic BP now. But before the whole BP incident, they were actually known as one of the ones that accepted climate change and were one of the more kind of, no oil company is good, but they were one of the better ones, let's say. Certainly, probably maybe the best. He went and he worked for BP. You know why? Because he could not make money in Democratic politics. If you're not entrepreneurial enough, I had to find a couple of ways. There was a time when I first started, by the way, I was waiting tables on the side. Like, usually you hear that from movie stars. No, I had to do that to stay in Democratic politics. And I got bigger things, and I started 1 or 2 businesses that were successful also in politics, with some sort of liberal nonprofits and companies, and got to where I got to with, my email fundraising business and now all this stuff. Wrote my book on McCain. I had some things go my way. Well, he's one of the most brilliant communicators ever. And so, BP, who was used to not having to do anything to make money, when the proverbial shit hit the fan and that whole thing went down the Gulf of Mexico, all of their top communications people were scared to go on TV because they'd never done it before. My friend, who was very comfortable, ended up being on like the Today Show and all of these shows going on and explaining it to people. And now he's in a different industry. But my point to you is this: he could have been in Democratic politics. He's a game changer. He won local elections on the small level in Kentucky. We had no business winning with his advice and his communication strategies. And That's it. He's in the corporate world. And we lost him. And there's so many stories of that because we didn't put the money into this. And that's why I'm telling you, I want folks to have a Substack account. I ask you to subscribe to me because I'll keep you updated on all this stuff, but you should do there because you should check it out because we all are influencers on some level. I don't care if you got 5 people subscribing to you. I mean, before social media, you didn't have 5 people subscribing to you. You can convince those 5 people. That awful, think about how much they won the House, and they won the vote by in the House on their big piece of crap bill. And I always bring up that one Marionette. She is a marionette. So I don't even remember Meeks, whatever the hell her name is in Iowa, won by 6 votes. 6 votes. You can convince that many people. You might change an election and you may change a bill from passing. So, that's my friend who we lost. There's others. He's just the one I think about the most because he's so damn talented. And we lost him in the corporate world because nobody did anything. That's why I came to the conclusion I'm doing something. I'm doing something. And you know what? Like I don't see a risk in it. I may completely fail. It may not work. It may not like blow up to what I hope it does. But you know what? I'll die trying. And right now, I think I've got some great people supporting it, and some of the names I said to you, and others will join. Let me. I'm going to put in here a direct link because I haven't before to where, if you are willing, if you find the mood hitting you, you will be able to have a direct link to become a paid subscriber. And I can absolutely promise you that we will be putting these funds, a big chunk of these funds coming to us. Also, I have David Schuster as a contributor, which I hope you all appreciate. I have some folks behind the scenes who we pay to, or this thing couldn't run. Obviously, there are costs and there are things I have to use some of the funds for. But I'm telling you that a good chunk of those funds, 15, 20%, something like that, will go towards this. And once the donate button's set up, it will all go towards that. Here. This is a long, crazy link, but it will get you directly to where if you want to get a paid subscription, you can do that. And again, look, on some level, guys, like we all walk the walk or we talk the talk. And I always say this to you out there, which is if you don't have the ability to do this, don't. I don't want anybody getting themselves into a financial situation. And I don't judge you. And I don't we have what we have, the abilities we have. And I would never judge anybody. But if you do, especially if you're somebody who's spending money on a subscription to some trash outlet, sorry, I'm not judging you. I'm judging the outlet, like the New York Times or Washington Post, one of the disinformers out there. Or if you still have cable and you're paying to, what in the end is money that goes to Fox and MSNBC and CNN. MSNBC obviously is much better overall, but has their problems. If you're doing any of that, why wouldn't you give some money to this? Why wouldn't you become a paid subscriber, support what we're doing, and support creating an independent media? Because I don't know about you, but if you take a look at that corporate media, it ain't working out so well for us, is it? So that's it. That's all. I don't want to, I don't want to drive this into the ground. I feel like I've pitched it hard enough, and I'm willing to do it because I believe so strongly in this, because I have skin in the game and because I want this to happen. And an ecosystem, as you know, is made of a couple parts. It's great that we have a couple big voices. I'm lucky that I've had the Substack become a really big platform for me. YouTube and StreamYard become semi-big platforms, and some other stuff. Some fantastic people out there doing some great things. But it's like we have these great people here and here and here and here. And what about the others in between them? What about filling out that ecosystem? What about having other people in there with diverse perspectives who otherwise wouldn't be able to? And that includes, by the way, folks who are white, working class, and who are liberal or at least, independent, let's say, and could really help our party understand how to address those issues. But if you come from any minority background, we need more folks to be out there as creators speaking to people. Which is why one of the first people we chose, was I announced it on Tony's show last night, was someone who is Latino, and that's not the only reason we chose him. He's talented as all hell, and a fantastic guy, and I think will be perfect as like a face in the beginning of what we're doing. But I want more diversity. I want people that can speak to experiences that I haven't had. I'm horrified and angry and about ICE. I'm sickened. I once was I've told a story and we've laughed at it, but arrested for no reason and thrown in the back of a cop car and had, handcuffs put on me and knew what it was like to feel powerless, that I could have, God knows what happens to me. I know what it's like to be places and have people saying anti-Semitic things. I don't know, I'm Jewish right in front of me that are horrific. I'm not claiming I've never heard anything bad or had anything bad happen to me, but my God, if you're somebody who is Latino right now and you're seeing people in your community dragged away, I mean, never forget the lesson, and I hope you all know it, of the St. Louis, which is one of the reasons we changed our immigration laws. We turned that ship back of Jews trying to flee Nazi Germany, and they all died, that we were going to take in political refugees, and now we're sending them back to countries often they're not even from, which the Supreme Court, this bunch of fucking ghouls. I'd like to get Alito and think of a few countries, or Clarence Thomas, we could send the two of them to, see how they do. That's it. That's what we got to say. You guys are fantastic. I appreciate the support. Sheldon Hughes was kind enough to give a Cliff's Edge membership here on YouTube, but we've only got 3 guys. You know my rule. I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to Jerry Maguire because we need independent media. Yes, Lefty Gramps, awesome. And it's, often Sheldon and Lefty Gramps and Jim and a few others. Come on, folks, if you can do it. Again, if you can't, totally okay. But if you can, I'm not talking about $20 here even. I'm not even talking about 10, $1.99. Super chat, super sticker, 99 cents. MJ, you did your part. You're damn right you did. That was fantastic. I think you gave 20, so that's outstanding. But come on, we're at 3. I don't even want to play the game today because today I'm in a mood where I'm just saying to you all, come on, do you want independent media? I'm not going to ask you to get me up to 10. Can we get 2 more so we end at 5? Sheldon again, come on, guys. Like, Sheldon shouldn't be the only one, and Lefty Gramps and Jim and Michael McAndrews in the past and Barbara and a few others. Again, I get that people don't all have the funds to do it, but there must be. I mean, we had something like 7,000 or 8,000 people listen to watch the live stream on Putin a week ago. So come on, I mean, 3 or 4 people out of 7,000 or 8,000. That feels like a small percentage. We got 4. There's a new person. There we go. Thank you, Karen. And you've given before too. I should have mentioned you. You may not you're not quite on the Lefty Gramps, whatever level, but you are on a high level. You have been awesome and you've given too. So there you go. A 99 cent super sticker. Just again, I'm just, I don't want to sound like I'm chastising people. I love you guys. I love that you support me. I love that you're here and that we get to talk. You're my therapy and bounce ideas off you. Carl Jacobson, another one who has given a pass. Let's get this going. Thank you. $10. That will be huge. But I do feel like now a little different in that I just put up a sum of money that was not easy for me and it had a whole bunch of zeros behind it. Okay. And I'm asking for a lot less. So, just keep it in mind. Thank you so much to you guys again. Now we've surpassed my goal. So again, Sheldon, fantastic. Lefty Gramps, fantastic. And if my thing will let me stream down, there we go. Karen Klein and Carl Jacobson. I appreciate it so much. I really appreciate you guys being here, and I'll tell you, I'll update you every week. I'll let you know. I'm going to be out of town next Wednesday. I do have so tomorrow at blueamp.co, that famous place we've talked about, and I believe that Jim already put it up there. We will have our live stream. We had somebody cancel the last minute, so I've got 2 or 3 awesome people I'm talking to. We'll get one of them. We've had Joyce Vance on, we've had Ruth Ben-Ghiat on, we've had Malcolm Nance on, we've had Heather Cox Richardson on. We've had a lot of folks on, and we're gonna get somebody really good. Last week was Allison Gill, and so we'll have somebody there. Please come by on Substack, subscribe for free, and you can watch. And then next Wednesday, I will actually be out of town on vacation. It will be someplace far enough away that I'm not sure that I will be able to do this. So Matt may fill in for me, but we'll get it figured out. But that's it. That's all she wrote. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Stay in the fight, guys. Expose truth. Whether it's deals between, it's Putin pissed at Trump, it's Bibi and Trump making deals. It's, we wrote a Substack the other day, everyone with Tony Michaels on the evil that is Peter Thiel and what actually is behind his fascist accelerationist, it's called ideology, of where they basically want to crash the government and remake it in their own image. That's what Doge really was about. We're going to keep trying to provide that value. So all I ask is that you keep showing up here and keep being awesome. Jim has this. I have to say this. Put this up before I leave so you all see it. And maybe we'll leave on that note. So, my friends, as we say, as the sun sets slowly in the west, I bid you a fond farewell.